The Checkpoint is presented by GM Pharma, the first international multinational pharmaceutical company in Georgia. GM Pharma, to serve those who need it most.
Irakli Garibashvili, Prime Minister of Georgia, held and led the executive government meeting at the government administration on Monday. The Cabinet of Ministers of Georgia discussed 7 agenda items. Topics of discussion included a draft government decree on the amount of maternity allowance and measures related to the paid maternity leave and childbirth support. In line with the referred draft government decree, total amount of allowance has been set at 2,000 gelari instead of the previously administered 1,000 gelari. In addition, teachers at public schools will be entitled to a full remuneration while being on leave during pregnancy, childbirth and childcare, as well as when adopting a child. The government decree will apply to female employees getting maternity leave during pregnancy, childbirth, childcare and adoption from January 1, 2023, in line with the legislation of Georgia. The Minister of Finance of Georgia says last year tourist sector received a record high income, noting that in 2023 tourism can be an important factor in accelerating the rate of economic growth. According to him, in 2022, tourism has recovered by 70% compared to the pre-pandemic rate, which allows to say that tourism has significant potential for growth. Last year, the recovery of tourism was quite strong. The received income exceeded 3.5 billion USD. This amount of income also surpassed the pre-pandemic rate, which was a record for Georgia. The process of tourism recovery is quite strong. However, it should be noted that the quantitative part of the tourist index has not yet returned to the figure we had before the pandemic. It's around 70%, which on the one hand indicates that tourism has a rather great potential to be an important factor in accelerating the pace of economic growth in Georgia in 2023. This year, the country has the possibility of over 30-40% growth, said Utishvili. 15 commercial banks operating in Georgia have already submitted their 2022 financial statements to the National Bank of Georgia. According to the report, commercial banks earned a record high revenue and net profit last year. As of the financial indicators, commercial banks received interest and non-interest income of 7.5 billion gelari last year, which was 1.5 billion gelari more than in 2021. Profit before taxation was 2.33 billion gelari, which was 80% more than the previous year. From this amount, Georgian banks paid 406 million gelari as a profit tax, which was 75% more than the previous year. Accordingly, the net profit of Georgian banks amounted to over 2 billion gelari, which was 6 million gelari more than in 2021. The consolidated profit of the banking sector was negatively affected by the sanctions and losses of VTB Bank. Last year, the loss of VTB Bank exceeded 70 million gelari. The detailed data on the net profit directly generated by each bank will be published in a few days. From 2023, commercial banks will have to pay an increased profit tax of up to 20%. Last year, Georgian corridor handled more than 1,300 trucks per day. Only in December, over 45,560 trucks used the Georgian corridor in December. Toll revenues were also record-breaking, exceeding 15.9 million gelari in just 1 month. According to the data, the state budget received 66.4 million gelari from freight transportation. The figure was twofold up compared to 2021. The Georgian government has increased the toll for thousands of transit trailers from June 20, so each trailer will have to pay 350 gelari instead of 200 gelari. Georgia's Communications Commission elected Kakha Bekauri as chair of communications for a 3-year tenure for the third time. The communication anonymously backed his candidature in the secret ballot. Kakha Bekauri has been leading the Communications Commission since 2017, Georgian parliament first electing him as commission member in 2014 and then re-elected him in 2019. In Q4 2022, the residential property price index in Georgia increased by 5.5% compared to the previous quarter, while the annual increase amounted to 14.3%, according to the preliminary data from the National Statistics Office of Georgia. Compared to the 2020 average, the index change amounted to 24%. The residential property price index covers the market of new residential property in Tbilisi, both flats and detached houses segments. In the fourth quarter of 2022, a price increase compared to the previous quarter was registered both in flats and detached house segments. Compared to the Q4 2021, the price increased in both segments for flats by 12.5% and for detached houses by 18%.
The Checkpoint is presented by GM Pharma, the first international multinational pharmaceutical company in Georgia. GM Pharma, to serve those who need it most.